Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, I'm Queen Bee Tarot, and I have one heck of an astrology update for you guys. It's been a while, I apologize for that, but you know what? You gotta go with your own personal flow. That's what I encourage everyone to do, and that's what I'm learning to do personally. So, today I have a whole bunch of information for you guys. I'm gonna start with a general overview as to all of the newness, all of the crazy stuff happening with astrology right now. And then I'm going to get into individual horoscopes for rising signs or sun signs. They will apply to either one. And I will have timestamps below so that you can pick and choose what you'd like to listen to. But don't just jump to your personal horoscope. There's some really interesting stuff I want to share in the general overview for the collective right now. So let's jump right in. I don't know if you've heard, but definitely in the astrology realm, the big news is that Saturn has moved into Pisces and Pluto is starting to move into Aquarius. And the reason I say starting to is because Pluto is going to go into Aquarius for a couple of months as the summer begins, and then jump back into Capricorn and then back into Aquarius all the way until next year. But we're getting a taste of what it feels like to have Pluto in Aquarius. And having Saturn in Pisces is bringing a whole new energy as well. So why are these two planets important? Well, the thing about the outer planets that we call them, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they move so slowly that when they go through a sign, Saturn, it takes approximately 2 years to go through a sign. Pluto takes approximately 20 years to go through a sign. It can be as short as 11, it can be as much as 30. But anyway, the long and the short of it is that when these planets move through signs, they take a long time. And when they do, it brings on these kind of karmic chapters for the collective. Saturn represents the chapters that have to do with structure, organizations, our job, maybe the legacy that we leave behind, but it's everything that we take really, really seriously. It can represent the system as a whole, like governments, and it can represent the systems that we create in our own personal lives. It's the structures that we manifest over a long period of time and the things that we put effort in hoping to grow. So when Pluto, which represents power and control, was in Capricorn for a really long time, the structures and systems within our lives were rock solid. And at the last couple of years, up until about 2020 and 2021, Jupiter and Saturn were also in Capricorn. So it was this really heavy, serious energy of this is the system. This is how things are. You can have your opinion, that's nice, but things are going to stay the way they are. And then what happened is Saturn and Jupiter started to move into Aquarius, and Aquarius is really open-minded. Aquarius thinks about the greater good. Aquarius thinks about the little guy and wants to advocate for social reform so that creativity is encouraged, individuality is encouraged. And so we started to get a taste with Jupiter and Saturn moving through Aquarius of like, hey, things could be different. And when the system that's being upheld is no longer healthy for the collective, that's when things start to reach a tipping point and start to change. But even as Jupiter and Saturn were moving through Aquarius, Pluto was anchoring things down in Capricorn, like, nope, this is how things are. Now that Jupiter moved into Pisces and then Aries, it's quite a bit faster than the others. This sense of expansion, because Jupiter is about expansion, this sense of, hey, you know what, let's go beyond what we already know. Let's try some new things. Let's change the way society is working. Let's change the way that we personally are working within our own lives. And so Jupiter, setting the tone, starts to really push the envelope as to what can be. And then Saturn starts to catch up. Saturn's moved into Aquarius and now into Pisces. And so we have this energy of Saturn, which is super serious and focuses on structure and long-term goals. With Saturn in Pisces, Pisces is symbolized by two fish swimming in opposite directions. To bring the energy of serious Saturn into Pisces is kind of like herding cats. There's no way structures are going to stay the same. I can guarantee you change. And individuality is going to be encouraged. Going your own way is exactly what's going to happen. And sure enough, Pluto has finally caught up. March 25th, I believe it was. I've got it in my notes, but Pluto moved into Aquarius for the first time. Like I said, it's only going to be here for a couple of months. It's going to go back into Capricorn, and it's going to move back into Aquarius and do this little dance until 2024. But now what's happening is the core structures of our societies are all starting to reflect the inner changes that we as a collective have been going through on an individual basis. And so now that we're kind of, change always starts on the inside and then it moves on the outside. So it is this long-term ripple effect. Right before Saturn moved into Pisces and right around the time Jupiter moved into Aries, there's always this tension. Right before things change, or right before we make a decision, or right before dawn, there's this sense of tension building and building and building, like a cork on a champagne bottle. And so if you experienced a great deal of personal and professional tension, if relationships were hard, if basically everything felt hard over the last couple of months, you're not alone. I personally was going through a lot of stuff as well. And you may think that, I can read tarot cards and I can interpret astrology. Even if somebody can see the storm coming, it doesn't change the fact that you have to go through the storm. So awareness is awesome. I'm going to try my best to share as much information with you guys so that you can be aware and conscious of what we're all collectively going through. It's a little bit of a pep talk, but it's also an encouragement to really kind of be mindful, be conscious of your energies. We're going through a lot of shifts, and one of the final ways that these shifts are really going to be cemented into the collective is that our eclipse cycle is changing too. We have a full moon coming up in a couple of days, and what it is it's going to be a taste of things to come. The eclipses change every 2 years, going through two signs for approximately 2 years. And the eclipses that we've had over the last 2 years, year and a half, have been on the axis of Scorpio and Taurus. So as we're all going through this collective upheaval and transformation, Scorpio and Taurus eclipses have been activating for us an inner thirst. We've been conscious of our needs. We've been conscious of where and when our needs are not being met. And our desire to go really, really deep and find the truth of every situation, including how we feel and why people behave the way they do. It's been in a really intense eclipse cycle. And what's happening now, starting with the full moon in a couple of days, there's a full moon in Libra on April 6th. What it is it's the beginning of things to come, because the new eclipse cycle starting this year is going to be on the Libra and Aries axis. And so we're going to shift from this intensity of Taurus Scorpio to what can we do about everything that we just learned and everything that we just realized and figured out. So what I wanted to talk about really quick is when we were in this Scorpio-Taurus axis, we were dealing with the past. Especially Scorpios would probably be the heaviest affected by feeling as though the past is being brought up. Things that you felt like you had totally dealt with before might have been brought up, and it could have been, past life memories coming through. It could have been childhood stuff that really, reached the surface and needed to be paid attention to. It could be consciousness of repeating patterns from the past and those realizations that make you go, oh my God, now I see what's happening. And then Taurus energy was all about dealing with the future. How can I release myself from these repeating patterns to create the future that I really, really want, in which I feel healthy and grounded and I feel like my needs are met so that I can move beyond and get into the higher realms of creation and manifestation and friends and society. If you've ever learned anything about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'd love to share with you super quick. Basically, no human being ever can get to the higher realms of moving within society if your base of needs have not been met. Food, shelter, water, rest. A lot of us in North America, in Europe, in a lot of these awesome countries where we have this base of most of our needs being met, and we worry about all these extra things that we want to accomplish. Well, what's been happening lately is that, cost of living, inflation, stock market, everything that's been happening, especially as a result of COVID, a lot of us are not having our base needs being met. And it is a waste of time to talk about spiritual enlightenment if our base needs are not being met. And so we have been reaching this collective crisis point where people are, reaching unmanageable levels of debt, and we're starting to see it with the economy reaching this kind of like tipping point. Are we going to be okay? Are we going to make it through? Are we going to have a recession? So there's a lot of stress right now, right? So when there's stress, we have to come back to the basics. Chop wood, carry water, make a pot of tea, see what you can do to maybe have a nap or have a healthy meal if you can have a healthy meal. All the intensity of the last couple of years has brought us back to, how can I ground myself? How can I deal with stress in a healthy way? How can I make sure that I'm meeting my own needs as much as possible so that I'm not expecting or depending someone else to do it for me? The Scorpio Taurus axis has been the most challenging for Aquarius and Leos because you guys are at a 90-degree angle to Scorpio and Taurus. And that would be called a square in astrology. So anyone who's a Leo or an Aquarius and has been feeling like the last couple of years have just been this constant kick to the head, I've got good news. The pressure is going to be off. Things are going to be getting better moving forwards. Libra, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Aries, the last year and a half have probably been a whole lot of WTF moments where you're like, what is going on? What does this mean? What is this leading to? A bit of fog and confusion. That's going to dissipate for you guys moving forwards. And then Virgo, Cancer, Pisces, and Capricorn. Last year and a half, it's probably felt for you like the universe has just kind of scooped you up and shot you off in another direction. There's been a sense of creativity, movement, flow, not necessarily the flow you expected, but flow nonetheless. And again, for you guys, this new eclipse cycle is going to change that, and I'll have more on that in a second. But the Scorpio Taurus energy was intensity, it was cravings, it was passion, it was seeking the truth and deeper meanings, and as a result, having incredible revelations, breakthroughs, realizations, not all of those being comfortable, but it is what it is, and knowing the truth is better than dealing with an illusion or a lie. That's really been the theme lately. Also learning how to simplify, learning how to meet our own needs emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Being brutally honest with ourselves and others, dealing with karma or karmic patterns, asking the greater why, and really kind of wanting to make sense of the bigger picture. Now, as we move into the new Libra Aries axis for the next about 2 years, we're going to have eclipses in Libra and Aries. And we're gonna, Libras and Aries, Libras are going to be dealing with the past, having stuff from the past come up, but it's an opportunity to deal with it and heal it. If stuff comes up and you thought you were done, maybe think about what is still triggering you or what is still repeating in your life. And Aries, you're going to be really, really focused on making some of those really important changes or decisions that are going to set the tone for the future. You're going to be thinking forwards. You're going to think about releasing the old patterns and starting a fresh slate for yourselves, personally and professionally. And for Libras and Aries, the previous year and a half of having a lot of WTF moments, those are all going to come into clarity. There's going to be a sense of like, oh, I get it. Now I know why I went through that, or now I know why that totally blew up. A sense of confusion dissipating into a total sense of clarity, which is going to help you make those final steps as you create a new reality for yourselves. Cancers and Capricorns, all the WTF moments are going to turn into clear challenges. Sorry, it's going to get a little bit harder before it gets better. You're going to have a clear sense of what mountains need to be climbed and where and when you've been wasting your energy, and really kind of focusing on, okay, what is the final boss here in my life? How can I conquer this in a way that honors my true nature and aligns me with the highest path that I have been manifesting for all this time? Cancers and Capricorns is definitely going to reach a peak or a climax in the next year and a half, but after that, smooth sailing. And then Leo, Sag, Aquarius, Geminis. Next year and a half is going to be all about movement, flow, progress, having a sense that everything that you were like pushing up against over the last year and a half, it's going to be open doors. It's going to be all of a sudden like the dam bursting and being like, okay, things are finally moving for me. And then Virgo, Scorpio, Taurus, and Pisces, next year and a half is going to be moving into uncharted territory. You've reached a place of closure and completion. You've got the clean slate in front of you. Now it's time to put everything that you learned and realized into practice. But there's going to be a sense of joy and freedom, fun and spontaneity, really kind of playing and having fun with it. Fun with life is what I mean. This Libra Aries movement that we're moving into, and again, I'm really pushing this because the full moon coming up in a couple of days in Libra is going to give you this eye-opening sense of this is what I'm dealing with and this is what the next year and a half is going to be about. So pay attention on or around April 6th, give or take a couple of days. There's going to be some realizations that are going to show you what this next theme is going to be all about. It's going to be about action or non-action. Themes of cause and effect. Am I doing this because I want to, or am I doing this as a reaction to something else? And then there's going to be this whole realm of, are my actions or non-actions creating balance, maintaining balance, or destroying balance? The focus is going to be definitely on one-on-one relationships, personal and professional, equality, sorry, I lost my place here. Libra is all about equality, balance, justice, even perhaps the law being involved. But often when we feel as though we have a right to judge what's happening, almost immediately over the next year and a half, if we make judgments that are based in ego, we're going to be shown right away how we are equally at fault or totally not qualified to make a judgment on somebody else or something else. So it's going to be like taking ownership versus blaming others. And on that note, expectations. Are we clear with our expectations? Are we expecting too much? Or are we expecting without even communicating it, right? And then getting mad when our expectations aren't met. Agreements, understanding versus not understanding, seeking clarity or moving forwards, not even understanding what's happening. Giving and receiving. Are we doing this freely or with strings attached? And are we acting on impulses or are we learning to restrain ourselves even when we're triggered? So the last 2 years have been about learning our triggers and having our weak spots exposed. The next 2 years are going to be about, are we moving forwards with a true understanding of why we're doing what we're doing, or are we repeating cycles blindly? And so instead of asking why, the next 2 years are going to be about asking, why not? If not now, when? A whole lot of Libra energy is, oh, I should wait till the perfect moment. I should wait till everything's lined up exactly the way that I want. And Aries usually goes, F it, let's just do it. And so over the next year and a half, 2 years, we're going to be trying to find that sweet spot in between when to throw ourselves in a direction and when to hold back and think things through clearly. And the answer is not always going to be the same. Every situation is different. So we have to have the ability, or at least aim for the ability, to judge each situation as a unique situation. So planet stuff. The big news was Saturn moved into Pisces. That happened on March 6th. It's been in Aquarius since 2020. And the day that Saturn moved into Pisces, it'll be there for about 2 years. It was also a full moon in Virgo. So part of the horoscopes that I'm going to do for you guys in just a moment for each sign is going to be about what this new Saturn and Pisces energy is all about for you, and what it means moving forwards. Like I said, Pluto moved into Aquarius. It's going to do this little dance back and forth, but definitely things are changing. Things are changing in a big way. The old system is going to start crumbling, and in its place, we have to establish a new one. So there's definitely going to be a need for the collective to work together with a clear vision of humanitarian goals, or else we might find ourselves repeating the same mistakes. New beginnings and a fresh start. Right at in the northern hemisphere here, we have a spring equinox. If you're in the southern hemisphere, at the fall equinox, there's a really intense conjunction. At the end of February, Venus had moved into Aries, and then middle of March, Mercury moved into Aries, and then that was March 19th. March 20th, the sun moved into Aries, and March 21st, the moon moved into Aries. So we had this new moon extravaganza in Aries right at the equinox, and that really kind of blew the old energy out of the water. We'd really been swimming in this Pisces, like, okay, you know, where are we going? And then all of a sudden this Aries energy is like, boom, let's get it done. Let's have a focus. You may have personally found that you're a little bit testy, a little bit more irritable. Aries energy has that vibe. It is fire. It is the fighter. So be careful and pick your battles wisely. The other thing was that Mars had been doing this crazy long retrograde in Gemini for ages, and finally came out of Gemini after 7 months. It only usually stays in a sign for 2 months. Mars is action. Mars is what we do. And when it was retrograde, especially for the last 7 months, it was just this feeling of like, no matter how hard I try, I'm just not getting ahead. And now Mars is really starting to pick up steam. Mars moved into Cancer on March 25th. And what that means is that now we're doing things with feeling. We may be finding ourselves more emotional than usual. Commercials making us cry when usually they wouldn't. And also feeling an emotional connection to the projects we choose, or the goals we set, or the obstacles we find ourselves having to overcome. Depending on what kind of headspace we're at, if something annoying happens, we might go, oh, whatever, no big deal. But if we're in an emotional state and we stub our toe, or we catch a red light when we're in a hurry, we're going to have an emotional reaction of, oh my God, life sucks and all these things always happen to me, right? Everybody does it, myself included. So that's going to be the energy of Mars in Cancer for the next little bit. And then combined with all this Aries energy, the collective is going to be a little bit tightly wound, and having more emotional reactions than typical. So don't take it personally if somebody kind of like comes off the wrong way, or, you know, if we ourselves have an emotional outburst. It's really important to apologize for it right away. But it is what it is, you know, we just got to get through this. Mars will be moving into Leo on May 20th. So it's not going to be too long of this emotional energy. When Mars moves into Leo, there's going to be a sense of pride and strength and confidence. So if you're feeling a little bit wishy-washy and weepy these days, it's okay. Mid-May, it's going to change big time. And then Venus is just scooting on through. It went into Aries, and then it went into Taurus March 16th, and it's going to go into Gemini April 11th. Mercury is going to go retrograde from April 21st to May 14th. It's going to be in the sign of Gemini and then into Taurus. So there's going to be a sense of like communication totally not happening, but that's going to be a topic for another video. But just be aware, end of April, Mercury goes retrograde. Okay, I think we've just about covered everything here. And so what I'm going to get into now are the horoscopes for the 12 signs. As mentioned before, these are for sun signs and rising signs. If you don't know your rising sign, just read your sun sign. It's going to be close, and it's going to resonate as well. People have asked me, how does it resonate? Well, if you read a horoscope in the newspaper, it's written just like these are, going with rising signs and then also applying to sun signs. If your birthday is at the end or at the very beginning of a sign, it might help to read the horoscope for the neighboring zodiac sign. You might find it applies because some of these transits happen at the cusp of a sign. So if you find it doesn't resonate, read the next sign over and it'll totally click. So what I've done is I've done horoscopes based on Saturn moving into Pisces, Mars moving into Cancer, and this full moon in Libra that we have that's going to give us compass for the next 2 years. So I'm going to start with Aries. Aries, the beginning of the zodiac. And Aries, everything happening for you right now is bringing this new sense of seriousness to your dreams, to your ambitions. You might be having realizations of, oh man, I waste a lot of time, or oh man, I spend a lot of time staring off into space and dreaming about the future. The energy for you moving forwards, especially over the next few months, but on through the next year and a half, the energy for you moving forwards is going to be, all right, if I can dream it, I can be it. If I can see it, I can do it. And you're going to start really kind of putting your money where your mouth is and narrowing down what is worth your time and attention, narrowing down those dreams that maybe you've been putting on the back burner for a long time, and really starting to take action. There's going to be a new clarity of awareness when it comes to who you are, who the people in your lives are, and whether or not those are even healthy relationships anymore. You're going to find that maybe you're outgrowing a lot of these dynamics, and you're going to be prioritizing your health, your well-being, and your mental health. So on a daily basis, you're going to be putting into practice new healthy routines, new ways of taking care of yourself, and new ways of pursuing your goals as well. Lots of time management is definitely going to be the focus for you, because you're going to realize you try and put your energy into something and then, oh, squirrel. So really coming back to time management, Aries. And then this full moon coming up in Libra is going to be all about themes of balance within relationships, how through action or non-action, you are either creating balance, maintaining it, or destroying it. And then there's going to be the question of whether or not that matters to you. So in the context of one-on-one relationships, personal and professional, you're going to have a new inner peace and a new comfort that comes from validating your emotions and not wasting any more time explaining yourself to someone if you've already tried your best. So really locking into the relationships that you cherish at this point, and they might be quite different than they were a couple years ago, and letting go of relationships that are just not doing it for you. You're going to be extra sensitive, especially around the full moon. Make sure to get lots of rest and make sure to eat well, and take a few deep breaths before responding when triggered. Taurus sun and rising. When Saturn moved into Pisces, it's this energy of what are my dreams, what are my goals, and how do they fit into the context of the bigger picture. You're going to be reevaluating the dreams that you thought were important a couple of years ago, and you're also going to be feeling more and more inclined to spend less time being social and more time going deep within, going within your psyche through meditation, through journaling and things like that, and really tapping into your personal feelings, thoughts, and dreams long before you say anything to anyone else. So your sensitivity and creativity are definitely going to be turned up a notch. This is for the next couple of years. And your desire to have fun, integrating that in a healthy way, rather than pushing and pushing and pushing and filling up your schedule and doing your best, and then bemoaning the fact that you don't have any time to do what you really want to do. You're going to take it into your hands, and you're going to say to yourself, you know what, I need consistently this many days off in a week, or I am going to limit how much I do work in my off time, or you know what I mean? You're going to take your schedule into your own hands and really make it so that you don't have to feel like you have to escape from your life. You're going to have enough breaks and room to breathe so that the whole thing feels manageable. So approach your schedule like a marathon, and prioritize play. Prioritize creativity and fun, and spending time with your kids if you have kids. The full moon on April 6th is going to be all about really feeling that healthy balance within your routines, and communicating whenever you need to. When you hit your limit and you're too tired or something like that, rather than saying, it's fine, I'm fine, you're going to say, you know what, I'm out of energy. Really sorry. I thought I could do this last week. right here, right now, I know that if I push myself, I'm going to regret it tomorrow. So over and over, you're going to choose yourself and you're not going to regret it one little bit. Make health and happiness, like mental health and physical health, make that your highest priority and you're never going to regret it. The money will come. Gemini, sun and rising. With Saturn moving into Pisces and Mars moving into Cancer, you're starting to think about how isolated maybe you've been over the last little bit, and this new desire to really get out there and have fun and shake off the stress. It's going to be a welcome relief. You've been really stressed out the last little bit, and so there's going to be a sense of things like moving and progressing. You're going to shift from this long-standing process of working on yourself and doing a lot of inner work to now feeling comfortable with yourself and being like, all right, I'm going to go hang out with people. I'm going to pursue this hobby, or I'm going to chase this dream. And you're also going to be thinking a lot, as Saturn's moving through Pisces, you're going to be thinking a lot about what are those long-term goals. And in a lot of ways, you're going to be kind of tossing in the bin the long-term goals that you used to have, because you're going to find they no longer give you this sense of fulfillment and an inner peace that you're really going for. So with inner peace being your highest priority, setting new goals for the future, things that feel good, things that really align with what's important to you at this stage in your life. And the full moon on April 6th in Libra is going to really be a breath of fresh air. You're going to feel as though you've really got a handle on your emotional ups and downs and your mental health. You're going to be like, man, okay, cool. I feel a lot better than I have in a long time. You're going to be prioritizing recharging your batteries before they get to that extra red zone, and learning to kind of go with that flow with your body, knowing yourself so well that you're like, oh, maybe I need a nap. Maybe I need a coffee. Maybe I need just a really good meal. So lots of play, lots of joy. Maybe you're having amorous times with your partner. Definitely good vibes, Gemini. I'm definitely seeing this sense of relaxation moving forwards. Cancer, sun and rising. The movement from Saturn into Pisces is really adding this big water energy to the collective chart. And with Mars having just moved into your sign, you're going to feel as though you've got this extra oomph behind you, but you're not necessarily going to know where to put it. So feeling your way through is important, and honoring your own flow is important. Taking one step at a time, knowing that eventually you'll figure out where you're going, and not necessarily knowing where the finish line exists, but knowing that if you do one step at a time, eventually you'll get there, and eventually you'll see what is to come. So Cancer, I hate to say it, but the next year and a half with the eclipse cycles is going to feel like you just keep dealing with these final bosses, in video game terms, in your life. Feeling as though you're coming up against these final obstacles that have been building for a long time. But thankfully with Mars in your sign, you're going to have the energy to do it. You're going to have more motivation and more stamina than you have in the last couple of years. So big changes in that way. And just remember, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Try not to think about the bigger picture too much if it feels overwhelming. Just look at what you've got right in front of you, right here, right now, and take lots of mental health brain breaks. Feed your soul, take lots of hot baths, hide in your blanket fort, do whatever you need to do, but definitely go at your own pace. There's definitely an energy of new goals for either school, education, starting your own business, expanding your horizons in a way that you haven't before, and not so much as it was before where you're like, okay, this isn't working, God, what else I can try? What else can I try? It's going to be the kind of thing where you're like, this feels interesting. This feels inspiring. I want to do this because it feels fun, rather than I have to do this because I can't do anything else. So that difference, moving from survival to thriving, It's going to be a hard push at first, but then you're going to make some serious breakthroughs, and it's going to be all downhill after that. So definitely anything you're inspired to do as far as maybe travel, reaching out and connecting with new community members or new friends, expanding your horizons, do it, all of it. And then the emotional purging. The other thing about Mars moving through your sign is you're going to be extra emotional lately. But again, don't cork it, don't bottle it. Have it come through and see what you can do to maybe do something creative with it. Building something, working with your hands, painting, cooking, singing. Allow those emotions to come through. Because they also have something to teach you, and your emotions will be a bit of a compass. When you face in a direction in your life that feels good, your emotions are going to reach a place of calm and peace. And when you're in a direction of something that doesn't feel good, your emotions are going to tell you. So rather than talking yourself out of your emotions, allow them to guide you. But good luck. Good luck. I'm really sorry for all the challenges that you've been going through. Leo sun and rising. With Saturn moving through Pisces for the next couple of years and Mars moving into Cancer for the next couple of months, there's going to be a sense that you just have this, like, you ever just hang out and a tear comes out and you're like, wow, where did that come from? There's this reservoir and a backlog of emotions and experiences that you really don't have any way of at this point getting out of you. And so there's going to be a sense of like deep sensitivity, Leo, and the best way to deal with it is sit with it, reflect on it, and figure out what it's trying to teach you. Because if you just busy yourself and find something else to do, it's going to knock on the door of your awareness later when you calm down and ask for your attention again. So there's no running from that reservoir that you've got. The only thing you can do is sit down and let it teach you. So sitting and reflecting on where you've come from is also going to help you get a positive perspective of how much you've done to better your life or better your situation or grow in ways that you're proud of. Because if you keep focusing on the struggles in front of you, you're going to feel like everything has always sucked. So see what you can do to put things into perspective, and see what you can do to set goals for the future as well, where you're dreaming about things that you're really excited to pursue. And that way, in a stressful moment, you can start, channeling that energy of frustration into creation. So Leo, with daily practice and daily awareness, see what you can do to integrate meditation or mindfulness into your life. It doesn't have to be just like sitting like this. It could be walking, it could be dancing, anything like that. But as much as you can, try to create moments in your life where you're not thinking about anything, you're not doing anything. Maybe you're moving your body, but just allowing yourself to be in a place of peace and in the moment. Because when you hear noises in the background, it's very distracting. And so in order to be able to achieve inner peace, you have to be able to create space within your life as much as possible that is peaceful and quiet. Virgo sun and rising. It's been a really intense process of healing the shadow, working with self-love and self-compassion. And now you're finally in this place of a new sense of calm. And it's not necessarily that your problems have disappeared, but you feel more prepared and more capable to deal with what comes than you did before. And again, if you're able to kind of look backwards and put things into perspective, try and remind yourself on a regular basis of how far you've come. There's a realization, especially lately, of your shadow, realizing that you have it, acknowledging what triggers it to come out, and learning how to take deep breaths instead of letting it control your reactions. And then on the other flip side of that is seeing the shadow in other people. And instead of, there could be two responses when we see a shadow in other people. We could either point it out and be like, oh, and be all judgmental. Or the other way that Virgos can respond to seeing a shadow is saying, oh, it's fine. I love you and accept you for who you are. And there's got to be a middle ground that allows you self-preservation. And that's what Virgos have been learning, is how to know the difference between holding space with love and acceptance, but also having boundaries that protect us and ensure our health and well-being. There's a sweet spot, and there's never one answer for all situations, but Virgo, you're definitely achieving a sense of calm, and be proud of yourself, because moving forwards, this self-growth is bringing in a new grace and a new self-confidence. And so Virgos, with this full moon in a couple of days, there's going to be a sense of reassessing and rebalancing the relationships in your life, noticing when action or non-action either creates, maintains, or destroys balance, and really taking a step back and seeing whether or not you might be enabling negative situations because you are too loving and accepting, or vice versa, if you might be making things worse because you are being too judgmental of a situation. So see what you can do to kind of be honest with yourself about that sweet spot in your life. But also, when it comes to money flow, for the next couple of years, there's going to be a sense of finally reaping the rewards of everything that you've been working so hard for, a sense that all of that daily effort is finally paying off, and starting to see some of that abundance come your way that you've been really, manifesting. So moving forwards, Virgos, keep healing, keep working with self-compassion, be kind, but also have boundaries. And Libra, sun and rising. With Saturn moving into Pisces, there are realizations of times that you've been your own worst enemy. There's a lot of yuck coming up. That's because the South Node is about to move into your sign, which is a time of just having the past brought up. There is no running from it. Don't feel bad for feeling bad. See what you can do to meet your needs, and see what you can do to find out how far back does this repeating pattern go in my life? How can I possibly make peace with this pattern, and either through action or non-action remove myself from any toxic patterns in my life? So Libra, there's definitely a lot of harsh realizations happening these days, but they're going to teach you how to be a better friend to yourself. So love yourself unconditionally. This is a healthy phase for you to go in. It's a big purge before you step into this clean slate, fresh new chapter that is awaiting you over the next couple of years. So this full moon that's going to be in your sign on April 5th is definitely going to be a time of emotional intensity for you. And if you've been feeling this buildup for the last few days, or maybe even last month, it is going to reach a peak or a climax on April 5th, April 6th, depending on your time zone. If you're on the Pacific Coast, it's going to be the night of April 5th, and then the East Coast, it's going to be in the wee hours of the morning on April 6th. So Libra, this full moon is going to be helping you realize where your emotions are potentially blocked. If you have talked yourself out of emotional reactions for a long time, your emotions are going to be coming up to a point that you cannot ignore them anymore. And you're going to be essentially forced into learning how to process your emotions in a healthy way, and then also making choices in your life that remove you from emotionally draining or emotionally triggering situations. Easier said than done. We don't always have the power to do it, but recognizing that we're being pulled into a tug of war allows us to let go and take a step back. The reconnecting to yourself is going to be some of the biggest realizations. Defining for yourself who you are. As a Libra, it is pretty common for you to often see yourself or define yourself in the eyes of others, and always thinking about how other people see you, or how reflections through other people must be who you are, because otherwise they wouldn't act like that. Well, actually, the truth is people act the way they act. And over the next year and a half, 2 years, Libra, the focus for you is going to be about defining yourself on your terms, whether or not that's validated, whether or not that's seen, developing your own authentic vision for yourself, and then loving the shit out of that moving forwards. So good luck with the intensity coming up, but you can definitely get through this. The pressure building is always going to be more intense than the after effects, which feel like, okay, I've got this, I'm on a roll. So one day at a time, one day at a time. Scorpios, you guys have been going through a lot of intensity with the eclipse cycle over the last year and a half, and it's going to be wrapping up. The last eclipses in your sign are going to be October 25th of this year. So it's not over yet, but you're in the final stretch. And that is really, really good news. Saturn moving into Pisces is going to give you a creative boost. It's going to give you confidence in your career. It's going to give you the confidence to make changes that maybe you've been waiting a long time to make. Or it's going to give you the reflections that have been a long time coming, showing you that you are exactly where you're meant to be, and that being your free, funky, creative self definitely pays off. So really affirming, really confident energy coming through for you guys, Scorpio. It's going to be a huge relief to have the intensity wane as this year progresses. And then, like I said, in October, it's going to be kind of like the final chapter. It's going to be the final confirmation of everything that you've been working hard for. The sense that there's a change in seasons, and it's this like ethereal change in seasons, Scorpio. You've got this sense that the wind is changing, and this energy is catalyzing realizations of, okay, what do you want to do next? Rather than dealing with like the woo here and now, there's going to be a sense of like reaching the bottom of the pile of the work that you've been working on, and then looking out the window and going, cool, okay, what's next? What's happening? So lots of joy, lots of positivity moving forwards. And this full moon in Libra Wednesday night is going to be activating for you a lot of clarity within your headspace, helping you prioritize a healthy headspace, helping you really create that energy of creativity or mindfulness, or really owning and claiming your right to peace of mind, and having absolutely no tolerance for anybody who takes away your peace of mind as well. You're going to be dealing with shit right away instead of letting it build up. And because of that, your emotional flow is going to be a lot healthier and a lot clearer. You might even be urged to travel home if you are far from home, or if there's a place in the world that you consider home. The planetary influences right now are giving a hint of that you might be urged to travel home, or metaphorically revisit your roots. That could be learning about the roots of your family, or something about history that feels either intriguing or interesting. And new friendships, new roles in your community, new patterns for you. So cool stuff moving forwards. Sagittarius. With Sagittarius sun and rising, with Saturn moving into Pisces and the full moon that happened that day, you might be having some harsh or difficult realizations where you're realizing that whatever your goals are, you're either going to have to put more energy into it, or you're going to have to kind of like sell yourself more. You have this way of being, coming off as confident, but a lot of times you feel quite insecure. Sometimes you underestimate your skills and abilities, and as a result might hesitate to pursue things that feel like maybe they're out of your league. But the realizations happening for you right now, Sagittarius, are exactly that. Shoot for the stars. Go for that job that seems like maybe unattainable or silly or ridiculous. Go for that goal that feels like it's out of your league. You're going to be surprised how things turn out. Throw your doubt to the wind and move forwards with confidence. And as they say, when you shoot for the stars, the worst that can happen is you end up on the moon. So I totally said that wrong. I hope that made you laugh. You're going to have to definitely invoke a lot of passion within yourself to get ahead with your goals, with your career, with whatever it is you're trying to manifest in your life. But one of the biggest compasses, a tool that you can use, is your gut, is your intuition. And you haven't always had the confidence to follow that in the past, but moving forwards, it's going to be like a flashlight in the dark. trust your gut and definitely go for it. Shoot for the stars. The full moon in Libra in a couple of days on Wednesday night is going to open your mind to new ways that you can interact in your community. And basically what it is it's like a reframing yourself, rebranding yourself in a way that matches your skills and abilities with maybe a little bit of embellishment. Really kind of see what you can do to have a glow up personally or professionally. And like I said, throw doubt to the wind, just love yourself unconditionally and see what you can do to expand your horizons. Maybe, interacting with a community group in a new way, or volunteering, or pursuing a creative idea that you have had on the back burner for a while. But the energy is definitely potent for you to embrace passion and allow that to propel you into a new life. The other thing too is that you sometimes talk yourself out of emotions and stuff like that, or respond from an emotional place and then regret it later. So if you can integrate mindfulness or meditation into daily practice, it will help you be conscious of your emotions and not feel bad for feeling bad sometimes. So love yourself. There's lots of awesome things to come, but you are going to have to push and work hard for them. Capricorn, Capricorn sun and rising. The Saturn movement into Pisces just now is going to start for you a new chapter when it comes to manifesting the career of your dreams. And for such a long time, you were very traditionalist about what it is you wanted to do, looking for a job, trying to find your place in the puzzle that already exists. You have this hardwired mentality of seeing the system and the structures as this easy boat ride through life, right? You're like, oh, well, it's already going, and if I can just find a way to fit on, then that's going to be the job for me, or that's going to be the life for me. But what's happening for you guys, Capricorn, is that your ruling planet, Saturn, having now just moved into Pisces, is going to be catalyzing within you a desire to move freely with no map, no guidelines, no road. Swimming in whatever direction feels good and giving yourself permission to color outside of the lines if that's what is called for. You have reached a level of mastery, and now you're starting to excel beyond that and write your own rules for what is to come moving forwards. All the work that you've done to heal yourself on the inside, to establish emotional health, to boost your confidence through daily practice, it's really, really, really paying off. And you're going to be looking back with this sense of progress and pride, like, yeah, buddy, I did that. You may be opening up now that you've kind of established this baseline of your meeting your own needs, this hierarchy of needs. Now you're starting to think, okay, how can I go beyond that? What if I want to finally take a vacation? What if maybe I want to take a lover? What if I want to share my home with someone or start to share the joy? You've been so focused on making ends meet that it's going to be a welcome relief to think, oh, I can go beyond making ends meet and actually start to think about having fun now. So that's what's opening up for you guys, Capricorn. Breakthroughs and awakenings are really continuing in a huge way. And what you're doing is you're setting up a new legacy where you're claiming your power. You are becoming, the master of your domain, the creator of your life. And with power comes great responsibility, but you're doing it all with style and grace, and you're making it look easy. So definitely give yourself a pat on the back. You're finding new words to describe your emotions. You've got a new vibe that you're setting is the tone. And the more that you set the tone in your life, the rest of your universe will respond accordingly. So keep up the good work, Capricorns. Lots more good stuff to come. Lots of breakthroughs and positive progress. Aquarius, sun and rising. When Saturn moved into Pisces, there may have been a wee bit of a reality check for you, comfortable or not comfortable. Either you're having things affirmed that you're on the right path, or you are starting to see that you are either going in the wrong direction or maybe wasting your time. But this clarity that is being offered to you, definitely don't run from it, even if it's uncomfortable. Either a relief or a shock. What's happening for you is that your purpose, your ideals, and your goals are being clarified. No matter how the information came through, it came through, and now you know what to do. So try not to be mad at the messenger. Just take the information for what it is and adjust your life accordingly if you see that you need to make any changes. As you rethink flow and balance, the theme of boundaries is really, really strong. And it's not always something that you're very good at. If you don't like something, you'll typically just ghost. But what is starting to happen is you're getting into more situations where you literally have to use your words. You cannot ghost. You cannot just dip out. You have to deal with it in a way that you are stretching and growing to exercise your communication skills. So if you have one of those situations come up where you're like, oh, autopilot, I'm out of here. If you do that, it's going to come back to you. You can't run from these things that are coming up for you. So learn how to use your words. You'll be better off for it. But the other thing that's happening is you've got new ideas for money, and you're really starting to get some momentum going as far as following your passions. So keep it up. Let your heart be your guide, and don't run from challenges. They do have something to teach you. In the end, it will be positive. Pisces, sun and rising. Really cool stuff for you now that Saturn is moving into your sign. There's a sense that you are receiving public recognition for the wisdom and maturity that you have worked so hard to gain. And as that public recognition comes, there's also a sense of kind of getting serious about it too. You know, you're a very playful, go with the flow kind of personality. And what you've been doing is you're stretching and growing. And now you're in a place where you're turning that playfulness and creativity into something that also has structure to it, which is new for you, but it's starting to feel really good. And the more that you structure in a way that works for you, that's where the money and the abundance is going to come. And you're also learning to trust the flow. That sometimes it's feast, sometimes it's famine, but if you just keep swimming and just keep swimming, eventually you'll get to where you need to be. The theme of swimming, it also is coming to mind of whether or not you are in cloudy, stagnant water, or if you are swimming in the wide open ocean. Keep in mind what you have around you and how that might affect your clarity, your vision, and your ability to breathe or live. Even the strongest fish cannot survive in a swamp. So, well, okay, there are certain fish that live in a swamp, but I'm imagining you being like a goldfish or something, and goldfish don't live in a swamp. The metaphor is that you can work on yourself as much as you can, but if you don't change your environment, you're still going to struggle and not be healthy. So just, if that is a message that you needed to hear, that's what I wanted to share. You're also realizing, Pisces, that your shadow has often been your worst enemy, more so than anyone out there in the world. And as you come to realize that, you also reduce the effect of acting blindly. You're learning how to not defeat yourself. You're learning how to not put yourself down. You're learning how to heal the way that you talk to yourself. And as a result, you're seeing yourself in a much more positive light. So keep up the good work. Keep up the compassion towards yourself and the confidence and strength that comes from being your own cheerleader. You're being honest with yourself, but you're delivering those honest messages in a way that is loving and compassionate instead of harsh and brutal, right? So the other thing too about Saturn coming into your sign is that there is likely to be something solid cemented in your life coming up soon, be it a new job, an inheritance, a legacy, a title. Maybe it's something having to do with your physical appearance, but something over the next 2 years is definitely going to kind of mark this occasion of growth in your life. And the full moon in Libra that is happening on Wednesday night is going to really kind of bring, again with a lot of clarity, realizations for you as your role as conscious co-creator in your life. You know, going from feeling maybe powerless or swept up in the currents of life and chaos and BS, to realizing that, oh my God, you have a surfboard. And if you can catch the wave and be patient for the right moments and then throw yourself in the right direction at the right moments, that you can find your flow. And it's not always going to be pretty, and it's not always going to be, you know, smooth. But you're seeing that you are not a victim, and you are unconditionally loved by spirit, and you are finding ways to be your authentic, amazing self. And every step you take in that direction is going to build and build and build to this new confidence and new self-love. So good job, Pisces. You're doing awesome. So thanks so much for listening, you guys. It's been a long time since I've done one of these updates. I do apologize for the delay, but life happens sometimes, and so it is what it is. I'm here now. If you guys have anything that you would like me to cover, if you have any questions about astrology or, you know, the current movements of the planets, I mean, really anything at all, shoot me a message, and I can either make it the topic of my next video, I'll keep you anonymous, or I can respond privately if that's what you need. I have a website, www.queenbtarot.net. I have a huge list of services, online booking, and I can work with clients all over the world. We can always do Zoom or whatever works for you guys. So hit me up sometime. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys are doing well. Love yourselves unconditionally, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.